Yes, students, welcome to our next class with a new topic of the chapter Democratic Rights. And our new topic of this class is we were discussing about the fundamental rights, and we have discussed two fundamental rights, that is right to equality and right to freedom. So now third fundamental right is right to freedom of religion. So along with the right to freedom, or we can say right to freedom, it includes the right to freedom of religion as well. So in this case, to constitution maker, what they have particularly stated clearly in this, that you or all the citizens are having right to freedom of religion. In that sense, we know that our country is a secular country. Secular means in a country all the religions are treated equally, or even we can say that there is no official religion of the country. So this is again very important in a secular country, that all the religions are treated equally and there is no discrimination on this basis. And even in this freedom of religion, every person has the right to profess, to practice and to propagate the religion. That is totally freedom is given. Anyone can profess any religion, even and any religion can be practiced, and even that can be propagated also. So there is no compulsion that because why there is no compulsion, because we are in a secular country. So in this is again very important. But again, freedom to practice the religion doesn't mean, we have just discussed that every person is having the right to profess, practice and propagate. So in this, freedom to practice the religion doesn't mean that a person can do whatever he wants in the name of religion as per his and her wish. That cannot be done on the name of religion. For example, one cannot sacrifice the animals or human beings as an offering to supernatural forces or like God. So in this, many times you must have seen that people are giving some sort of sacrifice of animals and even of human beings also to the supernatural forces, or in other sense we can say to God. Then religious practice which is treating women as inferior, or those who infringe the women freedom, that is also not allowed. In some of the religions that is happening, so that should not be there as per the fundamental rights. For example, one cannot force a widowed woman. One cannot force a widowed women or woman to shave head or wear white clothes. This is again prohibited. Then in a secular state or in a secular country, we know that what are the different provisions are given. No one can put any sort of tax on the religious basis. On the name of religion, no one can put any sort of tax, and any punishment that is also cannot be given on any of the name of religion. And there should not be any educational institution in this case that they can give the special type of religious education, particularly in a secular state. Then next is cultural and educational rights. Cultural and educational. So in this, what are the different provisions given about the culture and education? So in this, we can say that in language, in culture and in the religion minority that need to protected specially. In case of any language, about the culture and about the religion of minority, that should be protected all the time. So in this altogether, these minorities that they are also given the same right as the upper class they are getting, that is cultural and educational rights. So they may get neglected or undermined under, they may means those who are from minority classes or from minorities group, they may uh, get neglected or even undermined under the impact of language, religion and culture of majority. Majority people, they can undermine them and even they can neglect the minorities in these cases, that is language, culture and in the religion itself. So this is why the constitution makers especially they have given this cultural and educational rights for the minorities also. Under this we can say that any section of citizen with a distinct language or culture have a right to conserve it. Any section of the society, or we can say any section of citizens with a distinct language or culture, they are having the right to conserve it. Nobody can, you can say, violate this to conserve their culture. Whatever their culture is there, they can conserve it. Then admission in the any of the educational institution maintained by government or receiving any sort of government aid, that cannot deny to any citizen on the ground of religion or even language. For the admission of any of the minorities, they cannot deny any institution that is run by government or receiving government aid, they cannot simply deny to admit any of the minority people. Then all the minorities, they are having the right to establish and administer their educational institution of their choice. So that is also their key, they can establish their choice educational institution. So in this case, many things or many even minority people, they are establishing their educational institutions and even they are conserving their culture also. Now the last fundamental right, that is the heart and soul of the other fundamental rights. And this slogan that was given by B.R. Ambedkar, the father of Constitution. What he has told, this last right, the right to constitutional remedies, this is the heart and soul of our Constitution. So how this is justifying? We know that we have discussed all the 5 fundamental rights. Then question arises, what is the protection of these fundamental rights? That means if anyone is violating all these fundamental rights, then what is the guarantee we are having or what is the protection we are having? So in this case, as a protection, this was given by the constitution maker, that is right to constitutional remedies. So in this case, we should know that if anyone is violating these fundamental rights, we can very well go directly to Supreme Court. So in normal cases, we know that we cannot approach directly to Supreme Court, but in this case, if any sort of violation is there of fundamental right by anyone, that we can approach directly to that any of means Supreme Court. Then again, in this case, so many other provisions are also being made in this case Supreme Court and High Courts, they are having the power to issue directions, orders, or you can say writs, WRITS. Supreme Court and High Court, they have the power to issue direction, orders, and even writs, we can say, for the enforcement of fundamental rights. Sometimes this type of situation is arising. So in this case, many writs are being issued by Supreme Court and High Court. So they can also award compensation to some of the victims, and even punishment that can be given to violators also. So this is again provision is made in this case. So very important in this case, that if anything or anyone is violating, then we can directly approach to Supreme Court. And again, one more factor that already we have discussed also, but still one sort of problem, and then in case of any violation in a society, and even personally or publicly, if any violation is there, anyone can approach to Supreme Court in the interest of public as well as in the interest of society also. So that system is known as PIL, that is public interest litigation. So this is again very important provision given, or rather we can say that protection of the minorities' rights. So these are all different fundamental rights what we have discussed in this chapter. Then one more thing we can discuss about the human rights. Along with these normal constitutional rights and even fundamental rights, our constitution maker, or in our country, there is special organization, or you can say commission is made for protecting human rights. So about human rights also we will discuss, but still there is a National Human Rights Commission that is playing a very important role to protect the human rights. So human rights, that is NHRC, full form is National Human Rights Commission. So this was started, this National Human Rights Commission, that was started in 1993, and that was a at that time independent commission. In this, so many people were appointed by president, like retired judges, officers, and even some eminent citizen. So what is the structure that you should know? This is a independent commission, and that was started in 1993 in India. Like a judiciary, this commission is also working independently. So this commission is appointed by president, and in this who all are the members, that is retired judges, officers, and some eminent citizens of the country. No doubt this NHRC, National Human Rights Commission, they are not having any authority to punish or to give the punishment to any of the guilty person, but they can bring the truth in front of the government or in front of the court, whatever some victims, or rather innocent victims, are victimized in this case. So if this type of situation arises, this National Human Rights Commission that is coming in action, and some powers are being given to the NHRC. These many powers, because of that we can say this is again powerful and working in a independent manner. So in this case, they can NHRC can summon to witness, to present in front of them anytime. They can question any government office and they can demand some official papers regarding to a particular case in which they are investigating. So first power is they can summon any that witness at any time to be present in the you can say in front of this commission, and they can demand any of the official paper, and even they can visit any prison for inspecting or even interrogating the victim also. So these are the different, you can say that powers are given to NHRC. So any citizen, they can write a letter to this commission on a simple paper if any case of violating the human rights. So then in this case on a simple paper by addressing National Human Rights Commission, Faridkot House, Copernicus Marks, New Delhi. That is the address of NHRC, and there is no fee or any formal procedure to approach NHRC. This is very important. There is no fees in this regard if anyone is approaching to NHRC regarding any complaint. So there are some state human rights commission also. So in many of the states, this human rights commission at the level of states that is being established. So this is all about NHRC. Very important question of 1 mark also, and even this is of 5 marks. That is composition of NHRC and what are the powers of NHRC. Then expanding scope of rights. So up to now we have discussed about the fundamental rights most of the time in this chapter. But other than that, we know that there are some many other rights which are known as constitutional rights. And examples we can say these are very important also, that certain rights like right to freedom of press, right to information, and right to educational or right to education. These are the very important rights. These are derived from the fundamental rights, and we can say that these are also very, very important, but known as constitutional rights. So in this case, no school has become a right, or no school education has become most of the time we can say that under the constitutional right to education. School education that has become a right for all the Indian citizens. The government is responsible for providing free and compulsory education to all the children attaining the age of 14 years. This is very important feature or provision under the right to education. So in our country, all the citizens, they are having this right to get the education that is free and compulsory education for that age group of 14 years old. Okay. Parliament has again given one more right to people, that is right to information. This is also very important, started in 2005. So this act is also coming under fundamental right. That is, we are having this right to take any information from government offices, whether it is associated with that person or not, but we can very well ask any information from any of the office if we find that there is some problem in that particular work done by the government officials. And in the further some of the constitutional rights like right to property, that earlier it was a fundamental right, but now it is made constitutional right. Right to vote, that is also very important right given to all the citizens, those who are attaining the age of 18 years. So these are some, you can say, expanding scope of different right. So other than that, just now we have discussed that some of the rights given to human beings also. No doubt, these are not even, we can say that, legal rights, but still on these many organizations, they are taking a lot of steps to protect these type of human violation of human beings rights. Some international covenants, they also contributed to the expansion of these rights. So many rights of India, these are the you can say part of this international covenants. Of course, they are not considered as a legal right, but still these are the rights which are considered by international covenants. So these are the rights. Just I'm going to explain some right, that right to work, opportunity to everyone to earn livelihood by working. Under this right to work. So everyone should be given opportunity that to earn livelihood by working. So in this regard, our government started policy also, that is Narega in 2005. In this, every mm, every worker or that BPL people, they can give the, or they are given the guarantee for 100 days in a year for work. Then right to safe and healthy working condition. This is also very important right, that everyone should be given the right to safe and healthy working condition for wages and even other conditions, that is working condition. Then right to adequate standard of living, including adequate food, clothing and housing. So in this also, right to adequate standard of living. Everyone should have this type of right about that adequate food he should get, that clothing and even housing, roti, kapda or makan. For that also, citizens are having this right. Right to social security and insurance. Everyone that should be given that security also. So that right also people are having. A right to health also, medical care during the illness. Right to health, that is also the right, and especially in this case during the illness, that is medical facilities that to be provided, and in case of childbirth, and even in the prevention of epidemics, special care that is being taken for health. And right to education, that already we have discussed, free and compulsory education given to the children of the age group of 14 years. Then some rights or scope of rights that has been expanding now and again, or you can say time and time, or over the time, the scope of the rights that has been expanding. Some of the rights, as an example, it is given out from the South African government, and as a guarantee these rights are being given, that is right to privacy. In this, what can be the done, that no no person, no one that can be disturbed in that his or her private life. Their phone cannot be tapped, their communication cannot be opened. So this is the right to privacy that is there in South Africa. Right to an environment that is not harmful to their health or well-beings. Right to an environment that is not harmful to their health. This type of environment that should be provided, that should not harm their health. Right to have access to adequate housing. As per their status, they should be given adequate housing. Then right to access to health care services, sufficient food and water. So that is there in our country also, that right to have access to health care services, sufficient food and water. No one may be refused emergency medical treatment in South Africa. This is also important right given to South African people. So with this chapter also came to an end. So now we will come again in the next class with the new chapter. So by the time, bye bye for the day. Thank you for joining. God bless you.